Hello guys, and welcome back to another episode of All the Mods 9 to Sky. And as I walk through these gates, you can see I have actually built something. Not really typical of me, but I made a small island. I thought maybe we should remove the animals from those little pens and put them on a island, which kind of resembles a normal Minecraft world with different trees, some bees, some other trees, some berry bushes, everything, and some nice flowers to get some nice effects. But it looks like my island isn't very safe for my animals because a cow has died on a berry bush probably, because that's the only thing that can damage them. So maybe I need to remove those before any of them go extinct. I also did a bit of cleanup on the rest of the island. I moved some stuff around. I made some more crucibles to get a better lava system here. We have a chest full of obsidian, so I don't think we need to worry about that anytime soon. I didn't change much about the setup over here because I'm not sure how it's going to look in the future. I might want to move it around, so I didn't do much just yet because this is fine for now. I also upgraded some pipes, I added some upgrades to everything, and as well as upgraded our energy storage. Again, this is probably all going to be moved relatively soon, so I didn't really change much. And the rest is pretty much the same. The only thing I added was this small setup to create some clay, because we are going to use it today. I also read a comment. Thank you very much for commenting. Please leave more. I would love your suggestions, and if you have anything to add or just tell me, I'd be happy to read them. But it said that there is a great way to generate power, and I think there is also a quest with these thermogens from the mod called Power, right? And it has multiple tiers, and the best one generates 3.5k FE per tick, which is quite a lot in comparison to all the other machines, but I don't think it's still any better than this gas burning generator. I didn't showcase it very well, but I made this energy trash can just to show you how much this actually can generate when it's full, and it doesn't take much. You can use just wheat seeds or potatoes or anything. So if we set this to output, it's going to dump all of this, well, most of it. It's not even able to dump all of it because the input it's receiving is a lot higher. And even that wasn't a good showcase because the energy cube can only output 25k. These cables can do 51, so maybe we just hook it up straight to this cable, and now we can see how much it's actually generating. And it's producing, oh, so it's limited at 27 kilo FE per tick, which is almost at the limit of this energy cube's output. So I still think this is a lot better than all of these thermogens. The only difference is, of course, these actually require some sort of material, but it's very simple to get, like wheat seeds. Actually, wheat seeds don't work. Well, wheat works, potatoes work, and if it's full, it generates 27 kilo FE. And we can add more of them, of course. So we can easily double it, triple it, quadruple it, and it will generate a lot more. The wheat seeds actually do work, I just need to convert them into biofuel first, so that's on me, sorry. Of course, thank you for the suggestion. I definitely will check these out in the future because we will get into the power mod. The main reason why I actually didn't try these because the crafting is very tedious. I don't like it for that reason until we have a proper storage system that auto crafts all of these little pieces we need to, use this mod. As a quick side note, I think these magmators are also worth investing because the higher tiers actually produce quite a bit of power. The only difference from these thermogens, you need to pump in lava, but as we have a easy lava setup with these, what are these called? Superheating elements, you can generate enough to fuel these, I would assume. I haven't made those, but definitely these generate enough lava. But it's finally time to get into our main quest line, the Getting Started Part 2. And let's continue on where we left off with these covalent dusts. So this is a introduction into Project E, or some people may know it as Equivalent Exchange, as it used to be called. I think this is a super old school mod, probably more than 10 years old actually. It's nice to see mods like this still be relevant, but I don't think we'll be looking into it too deep currently because there are some other things I would like to do. Mainly, I want to set up a storage system with refined storage. I think this is the easiest, as it says actually, and the best one in the early game. Eventually, we'll probably convert into the applied logistics one when we get enough resource generation, but now this is currently my goal. So these dusts are pretty cheap to make. They're mainly used for, well, we need them for some crafting, I think, but mainly we can use them for the EMC. Of course, we don't really know how much EMC is worth, but this is a good way to convert our valuable resources like diamonds, which do not have an EMC value, into EMC and then use it to generate other items. We complete the quest and we can check mark this for now. This says go visit the quest line. This mod can be used to get tons of resources. That's true. Again, we will try to get into this as soon as possible, but for now, again, we just go down the quest line. And the next thing is this igneous extruder. And we use this to generate a lot of useful blocks we currently don't have access to. For example, we can create some netherrack. Of course, we can use the method we used before. I'm not sure if we did, but if we do witch water and lava, we get some netherrack. But with this, it will automatically generate it using... I'm not sure actually, does it use power or not? We'll see. I have never tried this, but this seems like a very useful block, and we need netherrack to get ourselves some quartz. The recipe is pretty simple. We just need some copper and nickel to create some constantan. We smelt it down to get some ingots. Invar I already made before, but we just need some iron dust and nickel. The rest of it is pretty simple, and we have ourselves our igneous extruder. So if we place it down, we can see it doesn't actually require a power source, which is nice. So that means we just need some inputs on these sides, right? If the picture is correct, we can check again. We only need the resources on the side and it just generates them. We place down our lava, witch water, and it should be flowing into our drawer here, right? I forgot to claim our netherrack because we need to actually place it down under our machine and it turns red now. So that means it should be working. It's still not pumping it into our drawer for some reason, but that's fine. We can replace it with something else. But as we can see, it's actually generating netherrack, and it's relatively fast. This machine does have some augments. I'm not sure which ones, but we probably should invest into some of them so this works a bit faster because we're going to need quite a bit of these resources probably. This drawer does actually work. We just needed to put in a initial item for it to understand that it needs to compact the netherrack. And now that we have some, we can actually sift it down and see what we get. We see that we didn't get much, but again, we will sift a lot more and we will get a lot more of this quartz that we need. But we also got a lot of blackstone, and blackstone is used too. If we take a look of its uses, we can see it's used to get some netherite. So this is kind of the goal. We sift some blackstone, we kind of get a lot of it back. Potentially we even get enough to make another block by sifting one block, which is weird, but yeah, that's how it works. You can also get blackstone from, if we take a look, from not the barrel, where is it? The igneous extruder that we just made, but we need blue ice first. And there is a quest line for ice, but again, I'm not going to go into it just yet because we don't need that much blackstone and we can get enough of it from sifting some netherite. So this is the way we're going to go for now. So let's also sift down our blackstone and see what we get. And as we can see, I got a little bit of ancient debris, but we got a lot of blackstone back, which is kind of weird. We got almost the amount we spent, and this is probably going to be the way I get my first netherite stuff that we can actually make. For example, the mesh, we can't yet, and there is a quest for that in the future, but this is a good way to get some early netherite. Moving on down the quest line, we have just a check mark. Time to use our power. So this unlocks these 3 quest lines, which we already kind of took a look at, and we're going to go down the refined storage path, but first we're going to upgrade our furnace. It may not seem that significant, but the furnaces also have a factory augment, which makes them work similar how the mechanism machines work and makes it significantly more efficient, and we definitely want that. And with these wireless power upgrades, we can actually hook it up to our power system, and that way we don't need to use coal anymore. First things first, let's upgrade the actual furnace. There are multiple tiers, as I said before, and the quest only wants us to do the golden one, but we will upgrade up to the emerald tier because this is the highest tier we can afford. The next one is obsidian, but the obsidian requires blaze rods, which we do not currently have. Now let's place it down and see what we have here. So we have our augment slots put in our factory upgrade, and we can see there's a whole 6 slots here, which is awesome. So now we only need to hook up our power. I guess I mistook how this works. So we have our wireless transmitter, we have our receiver, and we should just put this in our furnace, right? But if we have our factory upgrade, we can't actually do that. So if we take it out and we put this in our heat source slot, right? Now we can use it, and it smelts using the power we have in our system. You can hear the gas burning generator working, so that means this is taking power, right? But when we try to put in our factory upgrade, it just spits out the receiver. So we have to actually hook it up to a cable. But this is probably still fine. We will have wireless power in the future. And if we put in our cobblestone, you can see how fast it actually smelts all of it. And this is not even close to being the best furnace. I think it is finally time to get into the big boy stuff, and that is getting into a proper refined storage system. As long as we have enough resources, I think getting into this mod should be pretty simple because we only need a few blocks to get it started. For example, the controller is the brains, you could say, of this mod. We need a controller to just convert power and connect our system together. There are a few key resources we're going to use a lot, and these are all of these processors. They're pretty cheap. The only thing we're going to constantly need is this silicon, which we get from just smelting nether quartz. That's why we need it in the first place, as well as we're going to use a lot of quartz enriched iron, which is made again with quartz and iron. So it's demanding on quartz. Other than that, we're also going to need quite a few of these bindings, but we know how to get slime and string, so it should not be a problem. The first thing is done. I made the controller, and it connects to our cable. We can see it's not using any power currently, and there is nothing in our network. But this did unlock the refined storage quest line. Currently, there are not a lot of quests. There may be more when we actually start completing them, but let's just go down the line here. So we need our cables, of course. Cables are pretty cheap and we don't use a lot of them. And this quest unlocks quite a bit of stuff, like all of these importers, exporters, and a lot of different kind of things. But we'll worry about those later. Currently, we're looking up just to set up a disk drive. We'll place it down next to our controller. And currently, again, this is empty, but we can see it's in our controller UI here, and it's also consuming 0 FE per tick because there is nothing that is in this disk drive. And completing this quest unlocks even more quests, of course. And this unlocks the storage part quest line, or quest branch, you could say, right? For fluid storage and item storage. We will go down the item storage part line because, well, that's what I'm interested in. The fluids, not that much for now. I think if we have enough items, we will try to, I mean, not items, resources. I will try to go down to the 64k, but if not, we'll try to do as high of a tier as we can. Of course, before we put any items into our system, we need a way to view them and use them. So we will make a crafting grid instead of a regular grid because it kind of functions as a regular grid with a crafting bench in it. And also we will make a pattern grid, which is used for auto crafting. I put these next to our controller. They don't need to have direct contact with the controller. They pass energy through each other, which is nice. And if we take a look at the crafting grid, we can see this is where we will have our items, and this is our regular crafting bench. We can also change how it displays because currently it looks kind of big, so I like to have it at large. Large is fine, right? And the pattern grid, which is also a bit too big, we put in these special patterns. And now, again, we don't have a way to use these, but now we can put in recipes in here. For example, one useful one we will probably need is quartz enriched iron. So we just move these into our grid and we create. And now we have a pattern. And these patterns are going to be used in these crafters. And these also will just hook up to our system and they will show up in our crafting grid here. Sadly, there is something I'm realizing only just now. I did realize there were different types of silicon, but I didn't think they had different recipes for some reason. Of course, I should have just checked, right? But there is applied energistic silicon, which you can get from smelting Certus quartz dust. And Certus quartz, we have quite a lot of, even almost 600 of it, because you get it from sifting dust. And we sifted a lot of dust before because we needed to get redstone as well. So this is probably a better way to get silicon. And as it turns out, with this knowledge of that I can actually smelt Certus quartz dust, we definitely have enough resources to make a 64K storage part. And we just put it in our housing here. We get a storage disk and we put it in our disk drive. Now it says 64K. We have 0 items in it, but we can start using this crafting grid and just use it as a simple chest and it stores items. I got some more storage parts from completing the quests in our refined storage quest line with these ones. So we'll probably make another 64K, maybe, or we might look into making even bigger storage parts. I'm not sure if the quest line shows it at some point, but there are bigger parts which come from a mod called Extra Storage, which is essentially just an add-on to the refined storage mod, right? And these hold up to 16 million items, which is a lot, but we might fill it up relatively quickly when we start grinding resources automatically. That's why we will probably invest into these as well at some point. On a side note, it is suggested that you do not store tools in here, not just tools, but things that don't stack or have a durability, because I don't know, it just messes up the mod a little bit. Sometimes things will just not show up in your system, even though you put them there, and it's kind of tedious to get the system going again, maybe. But definitely one of the most satisfying things when you've made this storage system is to just break your chests. Oh, it doesn't allow me to break this one because it has too many items, but I think if you shift and break it, you can still break it. And because I have the magnet, everything just stays on me and we don't lose anything. And then you just go shift and just drag and spam and it all fills up very nicely. As I said before, it's probably good to take out things like the bee's nest or a heat transmitter or maybe even the machines. I'm not sure how they register in the game, if they have unique IDs, all of them, because of the power they have probably. So I'd assume yes. But for now, I'll just leave them because, it was satisfying to store everything. And this is all the stuff we have accumulated through these episodes. Of course, there's some other stuff around, but pretty much this is our whole storage. And one last thing I wanted to make before we move on to some other quest is the crafter. And actually, we can use this storage system finally to craft stuff. For example, we need these advanced processors. We just click it and we craft as many as we need, right? And we don't need to go through chests constantly, everything is here. And the crafter is going to make crafting even easier in our system. So the direction does matter on this one. If it says cable, that means it's good because it should be facing the cable of the system. Currently it says crafter. When we try to use it, it's just not going to work. This is where our previously made pattern comes in handy. So if we place it in our crafter, and this is only the lowest tier crafter, it has only 9 slots. But if we place it in there and we don't have any enriched quartz in our system, you can just type it in. You see there is a recipe for it. We select the amount. We can do 64 and it tells us everything we need to know, what items it will use. We press start and it starts crafting it. Very simple. Of course, again, you can speed it up with upgrades. The higher tiers do it faster. You can see here at the top, it says current speed is ×1. And if we check the other tiers, we can see it goes up to 125 times faster. And we can set up even more advanced recipes, like the cable, for example, because we need, there's 2 layers of crafting. We needed to craft our quartz as well as our cables. So if we give it this recipe, put it in here, and we just take out all the quartz, so we don't have any quartz. If we check the cables, we don't have any cables, and we tell it to craft just, well, 10. It's going to do 12 because that's how the crafting recipe works, so it can only do, well, the actual recipe's worth. But if we press start, it crafted our cables. We didn't even need to craft enriched quartz separately. Of course, I will make all of this look nicer and clean everything up slowly as episodes go on. I just want to make sure you know the basics, you know, how simple this actually is. And then, of course, you can, go wild yourselves. Fortunately, I am a bit pressed for time while making this episode, and I kind of want to keep a schedule, at least 1 episode a week. So we're going to end it out on something a bit simple, and that is continuing the mechanism line where we will make these atomic alloys. And these are the highest tier, alloys you can make in mechanism, and we can upgrade all of our machines so 2 tiers higher than they currently are. And these atomic alloys kind of unlock all the endgame stuff for mechanism as well. So if we take a look at the recipes, we need the previous tier alloy, which is the reinforced one, and we need this refined obsidian, and we get refined obsidian from enriched obsidian. And to get enriched obsidian, we need to put it in this metallurgic infuser with diamonds and obsidian dust. And the obsidian dust is pretty simple. We just grind down some obsidian. We don't grind it down, we actually put it in our enriching factory. I actually noticed something lurking in the corner of my screen. I think there are some pillagers on this island. Yeah, there's a guy with a banner, and he's already angry. I actually didn't know they could just spawn like this. So before I was rudely interrupted, we enriched some diamonds. This is relatively expensive. We put it in our infusing factory, and we put in our obsidian dust, and then we put this obsidian dust again in our enriching factory, and then finally we put it again in our infusing factory with our reinforced alloys. And these are the most expensive ones to make in terms of how much the enriched versions are efficient. So we need 1 of these enriched obsidians for 2 alloys. In comparison, we need 1 redstone for 8 iron to get the basic tier alloys. And then I finally made some of these upgrades. We can pop it on this machine here. And you can see the only real difference is that it now has 9 slots instead of the 5. And kind of the idea was that I can complete most of these quests off camera. The only thing I really needed to show you is how to get these atomic alloys, because the rest we can do. It's pretty cheap. We just need to, grind some materials. And with all of that being done, I think that's going to be it for today's episode, guys. I'm sorry I cut it a bit short because there is some more things I wanted to do, but I'll leave them for next time. Hopefully next time we'll do a lot more. But for now, leave a comment, subscribe, and bye bye.